Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I want to do a little bit more of a talking video rather than showing off a trick or something like that. I want to talk about finishing projects and finishing songs. This is going to be more about finishing projects and we'll take you through the final steps of finishing an EP. With this video we're going to talk about kind of preparing and making sure that you finish all your tracks for the EP, and then in the next episode of this little mini series, which hopefully I can do as soon as possible. I don't know exactly when, but we're going to talk about mastering for an EP and making sure that all the masters sound similar and have similar volume and that kind of thing, and what you can do to make sure that those are all similar. But for today I'm just going to quickly talk about how I finish songs and how I kind of make sure that I can say, okay, now I'm done and now I'm going to move on to the final delivery process of the project that I'm currently working on. So without further ado, let's get right into that. Alright, so here you can see one of the projects I use for delivering my songs, and this is fairly early on in the actual finishing up stage of my EP. This is when I have written all of the tracks, and as you can see there, the 5 different tracks. We have the first one here, then we have the other ones, each on their own channel, and it's very simple. I can just look through them, and fairly early on I can see that there's problems in the difference in volume. You can see, for example, here the intro is very loud, where here the intro isn't as loud, and here the intro is even louder, and the same goes for like the drops and the breaks and that kind of stuff. And ideally for an EP you want them to be similar. They don't have to be the same in volume, obviously. You don't have to perfect it, but you do want them to be fairly similar to each other. That being said though, these tracks that you see here aren't going to be the final tracks that you will hear on the EP. The reason for that is because this is what I call a listening session. And what I basically do is I listen through each track very analytically, one time on my speakers and one time on my headphones, and I just write down everything I want to change on the track. And I have a little document here, or I have a notebook here with some of the things that I've written down. This is the first track, which I'll quickly show. As you can see, it's a big page full, and I have that for every track. And the cross through ones are the ones that I've done today. So this is the second one, also cross through. The third one I also finished. As you can see, it's a little bit less, so I was a little bit more happy with how that track turned out. And then I have the last 2 tracks that I still have to do. So that is a really easy way to finish a track, and the reason why that works is because it makes you make commitments. You write down everything, and once you've crossed everything off, then basically your track should be finished. Now theoretically we both know that we like to tinker a lot with our tracks, so I'll usually have 2 or 3 of these listening sessions, once I am coming up with fewer and fewer ideas and I'm getting more and more happier with the track, then I can finally decide, okay, this is going to be the final track. I can now start delivering it, which is what we're going to talk about in the next episode. But the reason why you want to do this is if you're just going to do that in the project itself, when you have the project open, you're very tempted while you're listening to immediately start adjusting the stuff in the project and immediately start working on things. And this way you have a nice little list and you can just check it off. Once you're done, you theoretically should be done, and you can say, okay, I'm going to do another one in a few days, maybe calm down a little bit, work on some other projects, refresh my ears, and then come back to the project one more time. Or you can say, okay, this is it, this is the final product, I'm happy with this, and then you can move on, start mastering it, delivering it, making sure that everything else is correct, like the artwork and everything. But this is therefore a way to easily kind of separate between the project and the final music. And for me personally, it's really hard once I have, a project open, to think about it as a piece of music, which is what it is, and not as that thing that I've been working on for so long, or the project that I have in front of my screen. It's a different feeling when I'm working on a project than I'm listening to that same project, maybe in a different format, maybe on my phone when I'm out for a walk or something. Then I treat it differently than when I'm actually working on it and have the actual project open. So that's why this is a very useful technique to help you finish tracks, because it makes you think about the song rather than the project, if that makes sense. Also, but the fact that I have a list of things that I have to do, which is fairly accurate, and they're usually, when I do these listening sessions, I'm so very analytical to listening for my tracks that I usually don't skip over anything that I want to touch on. So that's another way for me to make sure that everything that is on that list is what I want to change, and everything that is on that list is also all that I want to change. Now, obviously I mentioned that I do these listening sessions 2 or 3 times because obviously I change my mind a lot when it comes to music and writing and new ideas and stuff like that. But still, it is a very powerful tool that I recommend you do. Maybe not only for EPs. For EPs it's especially useful because then you can also get to see how your tracks compare in terms of the waveform and while you're listening to them, because you can easily switch between the different tracks and quickly listen from one to the other. You can kind of find if the tone is the same, or if the one track is not too aggressive for the EP or too calm or whatever. So that's very useful, but it's also useful for, of course, finalizing the projects that you're working on, both for EPs and also for individual tracks. So I highly recommend you use this technique to finish up tracks and make sure that what you're finishing, you're happy with. You don't forget anything, something that you came up with on a late night and you haven't written that down. It's easy to forget something, but if you're going through track analytically, then it's very hard to not spot something like that, maybe. So that's the tip I wanted to give you. This might not be the best video, but this is kind of a lead up to the next one where we're going to talk about mastering an EP. I do still need to finish 2 of the songs, so we'll try to do that as soon as possible, and then hopefully the mastering video will be the next video that's coming up. If not, there will be another tutorial in between them, and I might need a little bit more time to actually do that, but I think that should be a very interesting video. So if you want to see that one as well, make sure that you're subscribed, and if you like this video, even though it's a little bit different from what I usually do, usually I have like a trick to show or a cool sound that I made, then feel free to like the video if you enjoyed it. With that being said though, this is going to be it for today, and bye bye.